Hello, today we'll be looking at dimensioning. You can see on this drawing that I have, it needs to be dimensioned. Dimensions are important that the contractors can use them to construct the building that they have designed, or alternatively you also use the dimension for production purposes, or maybe for quantifying, coming up with the quantities of the material that you are going to use in the dimension in the designed product. So to do the dimension, of course, first of all you may need to create the layer for dimension. Like in this case, I already have the dimension layer, so you have that's a dimension layer. So there are several things that you need to know anyway before you start any dimensions. First of all, you check the layers to say what layer is that you are using, and also the dimension style. What is the dimension style? Like in this case, we have set 1 to 50, and so we have the standard. Of course, here you can also have other styles here. This is something to do with the text, dimension text styles, and this is the actual styles in terms of the scale and whatever. And so you have of course there you don't have anything. So if I change this style, maybe I put scale 10 and I try to dimension it. Of course you go to dimension, linear, and then you dimension the area that you want to. So once I do that, and then this is my dimension. So you can see that dimension is not configured for the bigger drawing like this one. But if I want, I can change the scale of that dimension by just selecting. First of all, you click on the line like I have done, and then you select the appropriate. Let's try 0.25. It's still too small. Let's look at scale 50. I believe it's too small. Let's try to say scale 100. So for scale 100, you can see that you have at least that big, but maybe the textile is the one that is not on. So we have scale 100. If we choose another one, is the 100. So you have that, and we also have at least a reasonable text, and text style is at least a good one. So that's how we change the dimension. That is where you already have existing a number of dimension styles. You can just change on the options here. Alternatively, that is before you start dimensioning, you just change the beforehand, and then you say maybe you just want it to be ST100, and then you start dimension dim, linear, and then you have that. On that, then you click where you want to position it, and then there you are. That is our dimension. But sometimes you may need to do dimensioning without using this pull down menu. You can see you have this pull down menu, but if you don't want to use the pull down menu, then you right click on this gray area, and then you go to AutoCAD, then you check on the dimension. So you can see that the icon for dimensions are here now. So you can pull them to that side, that is to avoid them blocking the view of the drawing that we are making. So if I want to do the dim linear, then I'll just click there, you have dim linear. If I want to do the align dimension, then it's that align dimension. And where I want to continue dimensioning, like in this case, for example, let me just erase that. For example, if I want to dimension these walls, then in the first instance I will just do that dim linear. We have that, and then I will position where I want this to be, and then for the if I want to continue dimensioning, I don't just need to go to dim linear again. I just click on this continue. So I'll be continuing from there, assuming that if I wanted to continue from that side, then if I wanted to continue from that side, then I would have typed here S and press enter, then click on the side that I want to continue. But in this case, it's going to be that, so I'll just click on the end points, doing something like this, so something like that, and so on, so on. It goes on like that, it goes on like that, and so you have that, and then you right click to say enter, that is if you are through. But sometimes you can have, as you can see, we have the lines extending beyond the outline of the drawing, which is not okay. So it's either you can just pull the lines up by selecting all the dimension lines first, and then you are clicking on these hotspots. That is, you will be reducing the, you'll be moving the dimension line up there. But sometimes to avoid doing something like this, you can have the fixed dimension line, so the fixed length of the dimension, so dimension line. So you may not need to do this because the length is fixed, and then you leave it like that. But where the length is not fixed, where you have not set this for that purpose, then it's important that you follow this. But this is tiresome anyway. Assuming you have several of these lines and then you're doing something like that, then you're going to take a lot of, then you're going to spend most of the time doing that. So that's how we do our dimensions. And assuming we wanted to dimension maybe this using other means, that is, if you had to use quick dimension, you just select the object that you want to dimension. Like in this case, we have that, and then if you click, then you have that. So you can see that dimensions are coming in automatically. But sometimes it may not be possible for you to do that, to do the automatic dimensioning. So you may need to follow whatever we've done. But sometimes it might happen that the dimension sizes, these sizes are not the one that you need. Say for example, you wanted maybe to have smaller figures as they are. So what you do is you go to dimension style, choose dimension style, and then remember this is this type of dimension is ST100, so that has to be selected, and then you go to modify. So under the modify, you go to fit. Of course, it's the overall scale of 1. So where you need maybe half the size of what we have, so you say 0.5, and then you say OK, and then you say close. So you can see that the dimensions have reduced by half as opposed to the way we had at first. So that's how you can change the dimensions, that is for all the dimensions of that particular style, because it may be cumbersome to be changing one dimension at a time. So that's how we go about it. Sometimes if where you need to dimension a circular object, you go to them, like you go to, this is for the radius, and that's for the diameter. Assuming we want to have the diameter of this, then you go to that, then it's going to give us the diameter, which is 350. But if the radius is desired, then you click on that, and then you have the radius. So that's our radius 175. So that's how we dimension circular things. But sometimes it might be important that you would want to dimension the arc length. You want to know the arc length, like this. Say what is the value of the arc length. I don't know whether this is going to work because it's a block. So it's not working. It is a block. For this to work, then we need to explode this. So let us try to explode it. and you just click on the object and then you say explode, like that. So exploding to mean that we are making we are putting this to be just they should be separate objects. They should not act as a unit. Okay. At first, of course, I was saying something like this, but is for the arc length we use that one, not the one that I indicated at first. So this is the arc length, and then you measure that. Then it gives you the value of the arc. So that's the arc length, and it has that symbol to show that you are determining the arc length. So sometimes it's important that you need to determine that arc length. Yeah. So I believe that should be very easy for you to dimension. That is to dimension the length of the rest of the drawing. But whenever you are dimensioning, you need also to take into account that the dimension should not confuse the appearance of. They should not confuse or should not steal the appearance of the drawing. Dimension should just act as maybe a way of assisting us to understand the drawing better, as opposed to maybe taking maybe taking the impact of the whole drawing. So make sure that whenever you're making the dimensions, whenever you're coming up with the dimensions, they should not in any way impose on the drawings. So they should just give us information about the length of something else. That's all, and not anything else. And whenever you're also making these dimensions, as you see that you can see that the dimensions here seems to be bigger than the ones that are here. We also look at the scale of the drawing and where you're going to print, because you do not just come up with the dimensions, because the dimensions are too big too big in the drawing. Then the drawing may not look nice, and then it may not be professional, I should say so. So whenever you are coming up with the dimensions, you need to make sure that the dimensions only give you the information that you need about the length of the items. So assuming that we are going to print this drawing to the scale of 1 to 50, I believe this dimension should be okay. But if we are printing this drawing to a scale of maybe 1 to 250, then these dimensions may be too small for us to read. So you consider the scale that you are going to print the drawings on, and also of course the scale is determined by the paper size that you are going to use, and also the information that you need to show on the drawing. Okay, so as you could see, we have these have been dimensioned. You can see that the dimensions are further from the drawing, so that the contractor should not confuse the drawings with the dimension lines. You shouldn't think that maybe the dimensions lines are part of the drawing. So that's why we make sure that the dimension do not look as if they are part of the actual drawing. Okay, so sometimes you can have your dimension in 3 or 4 layers, depending on what you want to show on the drawing. In the first instance, if you want to show the sizes of the windows, then you can have just where you're measuring from the corner to where the window starts, and so on. This will help the contractors, the bricklayers, to locate the actual position of the window. And then you come up with the other layer, which you are locating the walls, the position of the walls. Like in this case, you have the wall here, the wall there, and then the wall there. And so you have that, which is showing the position of the walls, the internal walls, where they are. And then you have the other dimension, which the outer dimension, which shows the overall dimensions of the structure. So that's how you can do with the dimensions. So I believe that has been useful. And what we did last time, we looked at changing or altering the dimensions. But as for today, we're just looking at how we can do our dimensions. All right, so that's what we have done here. So once again, to dimension, you need to first of all activate the command. You click on linear, dim linear if your dimension is something that is linear, but if it is aligned, if it is at an angle, then you choose this aligned. So you have dim linear, and then you choose the end area, the end points where you want this to be dimensions, like in this case, and then you press. You can see that in this case we are able to see the dimensions, but if you don't click where you want to position this, then you have not finished the command for dimension. So you do that's we are through with that. If you want to continue dimensioning, then you do that, and then we can do that. That's so you have 707999. I believe that's not supposed to be like that. Maybe it is. Okay, all right. So it's like that. Maybe if maybe it's 1,800 millimeters, but it shows that it's 1,799 millimeters from what we've seen. Yep. So I believe that is okay. Thanks for your attention.